Alright, now to the second video today, because I want to get this out today, because this is the image books that I read in June. So next month, I'm going to wait until July 31st when I finish up those books. I don't think any of them are, so maybe actually be before then, or maybe I'll just do a super, record it when I finish up the books, and then push it to the 31st. I don't know. But this one, there's a 31 issue book. So I read, actually it was 32, so I had to read 2 on 2 days to get finished by the 30th. But most of these I had finished a while back. Actually, if you do the math, I was reading them from the first to whenever, how many issues they had. So one was 20, so on 20th I finished that book. I didn't miss a day for any of these. Because the image books, in my opinion, are top priority, which is really funny because a lot of these, some of them were library books. Not every image book is a library book. So I already reviewed Dracula, Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, and other books. You can see that. That's why I want to do the July ones all in one go, not just have several parts. I'm like, oh, this video and that video, and that kind of seems pointless in my opinion. It's one thing when it's library books I had to return, so I review some of the library comics on like the 12th, and then the other ones I do a week later, or on the 22nd. 10 days later on the 22nd. That's different because I need to return those books, but the image comics I have in my PC, as the whole point of doing the image books is that they're in my PC personal collection. Let's get on with it. So this is a nice little fat stack. And the reason for why is that ever since, as of May 2025, it's been 3 years since I've been getting nothing but image books. Again, I took a brief hiatus here and there, right? So I was still getting image books, but it was like image books and then Dynamite. It was the Boys Omnibus hardcovers. So I got image books that same month, but also got the Boys Omnibus. And then, of course, the gifts I get from the subscriber of mine on Instagram that gives me gifts every now and then, comic gifts every now and then. Usually, I did just now finally repay the favor from him and just sent one out to him. It's just like books you don't need anymore. Like I got 2 copies of a book, sent him the original, and then he they got the omnibus, like Green Lantern omnibus, so he handed me Brightest Day. Alright, let's get on with it. Black Science Volume 3. I'm not sure if I reviewed this. I was skimming through the video, and I don't think I did, which is kind of weird to think about. But I'll keep it brief for this one. It's still really good. It's one of those books that, on a reread, I liked it more. Because the first volume I remember being kind of slow, and as it went along, got really, really good. But then this most recent reread, I knew where I was coming from, but now that I had lowered expectations, I liked it from the beginning. Another recommender knockout. Some of these I still have a lot to say, though. Man Eaters by Chelsea Kane, all 4 volumes. 2, 3, and 4. This series, I had always said, oh, it doesn't have a definitive ending. It did, so I don't know what I was thinking back then. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I initially said the ending was rushed, and then the more time went on, I ended up switching rushed with there was no ending, or it didn't end, whatever. I thought there was no ending in the sense that it was supposed to be 15 issues, but it was only 12. Now I did read the little back matter, so every 4th issue you would have this, which is all of that. I did read these. The only ones that I skipped, by the 4th volume I was getting sick and tired of them, and the 4th volume I thought was all story and none of that extra stuff, unless it was part of the book, it's like part of the issue itself. So you'll have brief pages like this, where it's like that, but you also get the book itself, the actual comic story. But in between, you'll get stuff like that, and more in most, and so at the end, and stuff like that. But they have these little poems by Eliza Fantastic Mohan, and almost all of the poems are really damn good. I actually shared some on Instagram and shared some with friends. They were that good. Of course, it's the people that would, the friends of mine that would appreciate the most. This is all about feminism. So it's not like the guy friend who you joke around with and you're more crude with. No, it's it's a different kind of friend. But I still like this book. I still think it's really entertaining. It is a guilty pleasure at the end of the day. It's a huge, huge guilty pleasure. I know that it's, number one, talking down to its target demographic here and there, but by being so on the nose that anybody can see what's going on from they can tell exactly what they're going for, and they're not subtle about it whatsoever. But I think Chelsea Cain is good at just writing, keeping the reader invested throughout. I was never bored reading this, except for when it got to the back matter. The only time I'm going to review the only time I'm going to read the back matter was this most recent reread, so I could read it all in one sitting, including the back matter. No, one sitting. Why have I not saying the right words? So I could read everything and not say, oh well, I skipped this. Again, the only thing I skipped was there's also there was one in the third volume I skimmed it. It was just unnecessary. A lot of the back matter stuff is kind of unnecessary. Some of it is kind of cool. They have a callback to it in the actual story itself, to one of the back matter issues, which I thought was pretty cool. But other than that, there was no real point in reading those. They were kind of just, I don't want to say boring, but kind of unnecessary. But I also understand why they had it in here. I wouldn't say that they should take it out. If I were the editor of Image Comics, I would not suggest that Chelsea Cain take that out of the book for any reason. Of course, the editors obviously would not do that to begin with, because Image Comics is creator owned. But I think even then, like I said before, it wasn't too long ago they said this, there has to be some editing that goes into the Image books. I know that it's creator owned and they get all the rights, but I'm sure that editors have made suggestions that the writer was like, oh, maybe, I don't know, and then they decided at the end of the day, fine, I'll make the necessary changes and edits, and they were all the better for it. I'm sure that's happened before. So Black Science, I gave an 8 out of 10. This I gave a 7.5 overall. Alpha King is just the ultimate guilty pleasure. This is junk food. If Man Eaters is entertainingly bad because it's how on the nose it is with the political message, this is just junk food. It has no real substance to it whatsoever. It's just here to entertain, and it does it 100%. And it's got a 2.3 out of 5 on Goodreads. And I think everyone going into this was expecting the next, I don't even know, because you hear it's based off of beer. There's a beer company, apparently it's called Three Floyds, and they made this Three Floyds Alpha King. So it's based off beer. Now, honestly, reading this, I couldn't tell. I would not be able to tell if this is based off of a beer brand or anything like that. It's entertaining. But it's also one of those books that it is kind of forgettable and didn't need to exist at the end of the day. Well, that's kind of stupid to say that, because you can make that argument for a lot of books. But this is pure entertainment, pure junk food. That's all I can really say about this one. 7 out of 10. And obviously, it could have been better. Brian Azzarello is capable of more. But the artwork is really good. If you like just artwork and comics, and you don't mind that the story is kind of, I wouldn't say lacking, but there's not really too much substance to the story, then you'll be just as entertained as I was. Then we got the other Brian Azzarello, Mr. Brian K. Vaughan, or the O'Malley. Brian Azzarello, what's the Brian K. Vaughan? Brian Azzarello image title, and that is Moonshine. Oh, and Three Floyds I did not show off. I just remembered that, it was the only other thing that Brian Azzarello did for Image, so might as well read that, because I'm reading Moonshine too. So I have since read all 5 volumes of Moonshine. And this is a series, so Brian Azzarello is a writer that I really like. I have not read anything by him that I have really, really hated. Now, what's kind of funny about this is this has a bit of parallel to his Batman run. When I first read his Batman run, the whatever the main 6-issue series he did was, I just forget what it was called. I did not like it the first time I read it, and it's also ironic is that Eduardo Rizzo did the artwork for that Batman book, and I just the first time I guess I was expecting like Wonder Woman pacing, but for Batman, and I got a more like Batman tale. Like, the pacing of Batman with detectives and all that was pretty much what I got. And it wasn't just that; it was just kind of weird and all over the place. I felt, I did not mesh with it at all. But then I reread it and I absolutely loved it. So I'm hoping the same will happen with Moonshine. Now I didn't hate it. I just thought it was super confusing and kind of boring here and there. Like, it's very much a 6 out of 10 for me. But hopefully in a reread it goes to at least a 7.5. Because Brian Azzarello, like I said before, is the writer that I have not read anything by him I've absolutely hated. And most of what I read by him I've absolutely loved, to put a finer point on it. So that's the reason why I'm reading this, and I was surprised I didn't really fuck with this book, if you will. It's really confusing. It's kind of like, it's almost like, so it really did feel like he was making up as it went along, number one, and two, it was the rough draft. You know, as kids, when you would write your little stories for your classes back in elementary school, and you first learned about rough draft versus final draft, and your teachers would most likely have you read your rough draft and then read your final draft, and then you would see all of the changes you made and all like the edits, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, it was so basic back in the rough draft. I really hit it home with the final draft. Really knocked it out of the park with the final draft, and that's what I think Moonshine. At the end of the day, let's say 3 months or 6 months down the line, I reread Moonshine. And I really do dig it, like how I dig his Batman. I think I would still say that it needed at least one more draft. So I don't think that the story is going to make any more sense to me on a reread. It's possible it will, but I doubt it will. Then we have my pick of the month, and that is by a landslide, and that is Sex Criminals. Absolutely phenomenal work. This is a reread, so I shouldn't say pick of the month, but with the way I'm doing the Image books, it doesn't really matter. And it's also to say this is top 5 material. So no longer is Paper Ghost is no longer in the top 5 because of Sex Criminals. This is. So I read the first time and really enjoyed it, so I didn't think I wasn't. It's not a read to redeem. It's read for fun because I really liked the first time. I wanted to read again, kind of thing. But and it's not even I forgot how much I liked it. It's just it's really damn good, and it's just as good as I remember it being, like 100%. It's like never was I bored reading this. Never did I feel like the issues were too long. The first issue I felt was a bit long, but it was first issue. But that was like only because I don't know, I was expecting it to be. I should have expected the first issue of this big girthy book to be a little bit longer than the rest of the series. I'm not gonna get the Letter Daddies, which is just all the letters pages in a hardcover graphic novel format. I don't really mesh with. I'm not really the biggest fan of letters pages. I like them. I'm glad that Angry should bring them back if they're not already back. And I like that Spider-Man of Roger Stern omnibus has the letters pages, but I never read each and every letter. The only time I did that was way back in the day when I was collecting the Simpsons comics, and that was about it. But nowadays, I just kind of skip them. I know that's not the best thing to do, but I mean sometimes they can be interesting. There was one in the America Gabby Riviera story that was the fan roasting the comic in a pretty clever way, and Gabby Riviera didn't obviously because did not understand what the guy was talking about at all, making the comparison to Tommy Wiseau's The Room. And she'd know what movie was because she's probably not knowledgeable about anything about the internet because she spends all day complaining on Twitter about stuff, at least back then, and probably didn't even know wasn't even aware of the movie, probably, and so it went right over her head. So sometimes letters pages can be pretty interesting, but I'm not gonna buy a whole comic book that's just all letters pages. But anyways, Sex Criminals gets a 10 out of 10. Everything about this book I loved. The only thing, so the ending. I don't want to give away the ending, but I said that it was an alternate ending. I think I just convinced myself it was because of how much I hate the ending. It's the 69th issue. 30th issue ends perfectly. Then we get the 69th issue, which does answer some questions I had, to be fair, but also I don't like it. They did something with it. With the characters I didn't like that they did. At the tail end of issue 69, it does seem like they're gonna go back to the way I liked it, but still, I think that was like, especially with what they set up. Like this, my most recent reread, because of how long it had been, I forgot several parts of this comic, and there was one instance that I'm surprised I forgot about. That's explaining their relationship of the two main characters, and they explain it so well. And as I was reading it, I was like, so this is completely contradicted by the, without giving too much away, by the alternate ending. But other than that, I wouldn't even say that ruins it for me. But 10 out of 10 through and through, definitely a recommend. Worth every single penny you pay for this. It's $50. To be fair, I was expecting, I didn't even see what the price was, and I was gonna say 40 without even looking at it. But it's $50. That's only $10 more than I thought it was. It's worth it, in my opinion. Or get the hardcovers, if you can spend money. If you don't mind spending extra money on it, because you can either get the complete edition all in one, or the hardcovers, which each hardcover is 3 hardcovers, and I think each hardcover is actually $50. Anyways, next up we have Cosmic Detective, another one I didn't show off because my brain was not working. So when I did my these are the books I'll be reading in July, the way I wanted to read them, the way I always read them, because that was the whole point, is that I was gonna go back to the way things were before. Read the OGNs and then the appetizer, where it's like 5 to 10 books per day, and then I get the main course, is 25. And once I'm done with all the OGNs, and I didn't realize that July 1st is when I want to start reading them. And then I was like, wait, then if I want to get the OGNs finished before July 1st, that means I'm going to be reading these in June. So I didn't realize that, and then once I did, it was a big oopsie on my end. So some of them I will, I think, so the image books I'm going to show, I read in June, I'll show off right away, like I'm doing now. But all the other publishers, like the Marvel books, the DC books, I'll probably just review as I review the other ones. Maybe not. Maybe if I have actually, this day is the last day, so obviously I'll do that. But on the alternative, what I will probably do is on a slow week, I'll throw a comic book review, a short comic book review. I'll throw that on one day on a slow week where I don't have anything else going on. Or I haven't finished enough of the July books, the July fast stack of books, to justify making a review. So I'll just a small review of those leftover books. I don't know. But anyways, going back to the topic at hand, Cosmic Detective. The first time I read this, I said it ends on a cliffhanger, and it kind of does. It leaves it open for a sequel. But this is really damn good. It's strange and a bit convoluted and confusing, but still really damn good. And I will die on this hill, and it's definitely a Matt Kindt yarn, not a Jeff Lemire yarn. Maybe Jeff Lemire helped out with the story, but everything in Cosmic Detective screams Matt Kindt, not Jeff Lemire. And yes, it's even after reading Sentient, which is a sci-fi graphic novel written by Jeff Lemire. But really damn good stuff. And it's a pretty thick book. I noticed that this time around that it took me a lot longer to read than I thought it would, because there was a lot more dialogue than I remember there being. I remember it being a little bit more faster paced, less dialogue, more like splash panels and splash pages, but I was wrong. Still is present. Like, I would say this would take you a half the time it would if it was just your standard 208-page graphic novel, is what I would say. Now, I do want to mention one thing. At the start of the book, when they're talking about the death of the god, I really find it cool. I find it really cool that they use code words. So I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can zoom in. It should be in focus right now. But they use code words. And that is like one of the most clever and memorable things of this comic. Of this graphic novel. I would say it's a graphic novel, it's OGN. Of this graphic novel. And like right from the get-go, right when I first started reading this, when I first read it, I knew that I would not forget about that. At least about that part in the book anytime soon. 8 out of 10. And finally, the disappointment of the month is White Death by Robbie Morrison. I actually haven't gone over who wrote every single book. So I don't know why I'm specifying some of these. These like this one. But anyways, this one was just very much like with Moonshine, but more so here. You publish the first draft, didn't you? At least with Moonshine, especially the artwork, there is a lot to argue that no, this is the final draft. You can just imagine what the draft would look like, kind of thing. But this one, other than a few bits of dialogue here and there that are pretty profound, I don't remember what they were. I just remember being like, damn, I was like, that is a line in a war movie that someone would say that would make that movie a classic. You have that as like someone would have that in their not yearbook, but someone would like print out the movie still with the quote and hanging it up in their class, like a history teacher would do that, or a English teacher would say, so this person said this, and really, it's one of those lines. But I don't exactly remember what it was, and it's very few and far between. This is very much a 5 out of 10. It wasn't completely awful, but I was also kind of glad to be done with it when I finished it. And that, as I say, is that. I'm going to double check on the phone to make sure that it's official, but I'm pretty sure I am right. Yes, maybe that, yep. That one. Shit, clone. Nope, forgot one. Forgot one, because I'm an idiot, and I just don't think to check things. Alright. So, I take back what I said about Sex Criminals, because that was a reread, and we don't include rereads as picks of the week. So this is planned. I totally planned for this to happen. Pick of the week is all 4 volumes of Clone. Going backwards. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I said that Sex Criminals was the pick of the week. No, it is Clone. This is, from start to finish, absolutely entertaining. Sex Criminals had a bit heavy on the dialogue here and there and in the narration, but this knows how to keep your interest throughout, and unlike Alpha King, it's not junk food entertaining. It's just entertaining as comics should be. This is what independent comics were made for. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. However, it only gets a 9 out of 10. The reason why that is because it's not like quite top 5 material. It is top 10 material as an honorable mention. So if I did a number, if I did the 11 best comics of all time, it would be number 11. Maybe. But even that seems a bit too much. But it's just really damn good. Kept my interest throughout. I was hooked from start to finish. The definition of a page turner, binge watch, all that. Do yourself a favor and check out Clone. And that, I say, is that I'm pretty sure. I was double check to make sure. I saw Clones, like, uh-oh, forgot about that one. But that was actually, I think that better doing it that way, because I ended it with my pick of the week. Pick of the month. Yep, I got them all. So all in all, it was like, what, 11 comics or 10 comics? Yeah, it was 10. So 10 comics, 10 image books I read that month. So yeah, that was the reason for why I did that, was because ever since May of 2022, non-stop image books that I buy for myself, and when I'm buying physical books, with non-stop image. So I decided the 3-year anniversary will go all out in May and take out a bunch of image books on my PC, read those. Same in June as it's summertime, and then July, same dealio there. But come August, it'll be more like 4. And then September, we'll go back to being 2. And then in the school/work months, I organize school, so I say school. Then I'll go back to the just 2 per month. And why 2? Well, it's one's a reread. Like the library had it. I liked it so much. I want to read it myself. and then the one that's all new for me. But that, as I say, is actually that.